Hi everybody, welcome to Sandra's Art Studio. I'm glad that you're joining me today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about different ways we can make money with our talents, right? Because I always had this feeling that if I wasn't using my talents and I was actually working for somebody else, that I was kind of like wasting my time. Which is not true, but you know what I'm saying. So anyway, go ahead and get yourself a cup of tea or coffee, whatever it is that you want, and sit down, relax, and right now it's story time. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got here. Okay, pretty sure you paused and you're ready to go. So long time ago, when I was a teenager, I realized that I liked doing portraits, faces. I really liked it. And it was not until like my mid-20s that I actually took at the local art craft store. At that time, it was kind of like a Michael's, I don't even remember what the name of it is. So I took a little class on, how to do portraits, which I knew that what I really needed was how to mix the colors, right? And how to apply them. And that was kind of like very alien and very intimidating to me. So this lady, I think it was Beverly was her name back in the day. And we did some samples and I realized that I thought I was really good. I kicked everybody's butt. If we were in a contest, I would have won. Yeah. Anyway, I started doing shows and I did a lot of paintings of famous people. So people could recognize, like Dolly Parton, like Jane Seymour, like Jean-Claude Van Damme, like Jack Nicholson, Elizabeth Taylor, people like that, Oprah. So I did all these portraits and I would just go to different shows. And that's how I would get people to trust me to actually, if they could recognize the painting that I had done, then of course they would trust me enough to do their painting, right? So I picked up a few, but it was not quite enough. And later down the road, I realized that because I got a job doing science and graphics, and I realized this is very artistic. So eventually I moved to Port St. Lucie, Florida, and I opened my own sign shop, and it was called For You to See, Science and Graphics, and it was fun. Sometimes I would get crazy projects, and I think the crazy projects were the ones that kept me more alive. So that's another way of making money during your art, but you do have to be a little technical. I wasn't technical, but I learned enough to use the program, the software that allowed me to do the cuttings on my vinyl. And once in a while I would have some projects of painting on a t-shirt or designing a logo or designing the cover of a book. Once in a while I would get a request to do a mural. So that was fun. I think that in retrospect I should have kept that store. But I didn't. I was also doing automotive airbrushing, kind of like at the same time. That is another fun way of making money. And the reason why I didn't stick with automotive airbrushing was because you do expose yourself, or at the time, I was painting with polyurethanes and lacquer thinners and stuff like that, reducers that were real harsh chemicals. And I always thought, wow, one day this is gonna kick my butt when I get older. And so I only did automotive airbrushing for like 10 years. It was fun. I got to do a lot of motorcycles, mostly Harley Davidsons. Once in a while I would do a dragster, a boat, a helicopter, trucks, cars, you name it. That was fun. I really liked it. The only thing was the chemicals are harsh if you're using polyurethanes. Now I understand that a lot of airbrushers are using acrylic paints that are really easy to use with the airbrush, right? Because the reason why I picked the polyurethanes with the airbrush is because it flowed way better, to where if you used acrylics, it would just spit, and it would just be more aggravating. And so I found that the chemicals, polyurethanes was way better. It had more fluidity when it came to painting on hard surfaces like metals. And I learned how to do everything. I learned how to take a motorcycle that needed to be primed I learned how to skin it, which is basically filling like any imperfections, okay? And then priming it, like sanding it all the time, priming it, doing the base coat, doing the clear coat, and then doing all the airbrushing, all the artwork. It was fun. It was very intricate. And if you feel like you have what it takes to do automotive airbrushing, I'm telling you, there's real good money on automotive airbrushing. And not a whole lot of people are doing it, you know. So then I moved to Indiana. And I thought, well, you know, in Florida, I did so good with automotive airbrushing. It shouldn't be too hard to carry on in Indiana. But once I moved to Indiana, I realized that people were giving me their automotive airbrush project in the middle of wintertime, and I was doing things from the basement of my house. And this little dance of keeping the hot air, because you can't paint if it's colder than 60 degrees, okay? So there was like a little balancing act that was happening in between getting all the fumes out of the room, which when I would get the fumes out of the room, I would also get the hot air to make sure that the paint was going to stick to the surface, because that's the reason why you want to keep that temperature, right? It was just so hard. Sometimes it would be so cold, and I thought I was going to have to buy like this monster piece of equipment to heat the basement of my house and everything. So I kind of like ended up giving that up, because my husband's cousins, they were all tattooed. What does that have to do with the whole airbrushing thing, right? Well, my husband's cousins were all tattooed, and they used to say to me that I would be really good at tattooing and I should give it a try, and that they would be my guinea pigs, right? So I ended up doing an apprenticeship with somebody for a very, very, very brief time. And then the rest, it was like fake it until I make it kind of thing. Yeah, I know. Dangerous, right? But I found out that that industry is kind of crazy. Like painting, coming from the motorcycle automotive airbrushing industry, where people wanted me to sketch out what their motorcycle was going to look like, and they wanted all kinds of good illustrations. When it comes to tattooing, a lot of people were just giving me their arm and saying, just do whatever you want to do. I'll give you my arm. And that was like a very uncomfortable feeling. But eventually I got around to that, and I did do some freehand tattoos, and I ended up doing tattoos for 16 and a half years. Yep, that was good. That's also very good money. So if you feel like you have what it takes to become a good tattoo artist, yeah, I would say the hardest thing is finding a good apprenticeship, because some of these guys can be real scumbags. I've heard a lot of stories of the things that they make girls do if they're kind of cute. Yeah, so that was kind of like a sad part of it. I'm sorry about that, but that's the truth. That's the way it was in the tattoo world, and it still is. It used to be, the tattoo world used to be a little bit more of like the good old boys. And when I got into that industry, I was already 39 years old. So I had a lot of people kind of like close the door on my face. So when I learned just the basics, I went ahead and opened my own shop. And yep, faked it until I made it. So that was 16 and a half years, like I said. And then after that, well, one day I just had enough of tattooing. I just kind of like, I wasn't feeling it anymore. You know, I thought that a lot of the designs that people were asking me for, like I had my little jokes, you know, and I was telling people, that's my dog drinking water. I was telling people that I was fresh out of infinity symbols, or that I was fresh out of the feather breaking out into the birds. You know, there were some things that people did all the time. You know, I was fresh out of nautical stars and that kind of stuff. I do have a lot of fun stories when it comes to tattooing, because everything happened. I mean, it's a crazy, I would say that's a real crazy world, the tattooing. So if you have a good head on your shoulders, I would say that's really good for artists, but you have to be careful about the drugs, you know. I happen to see a lot of that. It was never my thing. I never had an inclination for drugs. I didn't have that issue. All right, so after I did the tattooing, once I quit tattooing, what happened? Well, I've been trying a lot of things. And I jumped onto the YouTube videos again. And this time I learned how to do digital art, which I don't use it too much, but it comes in handy. I also learned how to edit a video, which I had no idea. And I asked a lot of friends and family members. I have actual family members that are social influencers, and I thought I was going to get them to help me do some of the, like learn how to edit, and that didn't happen. So fortunately, there's a lot of really good creators that are actually teaching step by step, and all you have to do is look it up on YouTube. YouTube has turned into this kind of like university, like how-to instructional tutorials. That's what YouTube has turned for me. Like my husband and I, if we ever had to fix something around the house, or learn how to do something, like everything from how to fix our dryer machine one time, how to fix the washer machine, how to change the carbon filter of our whole house water filtration system. I mean, we learned a lot of things with YouTube, mechanical, everything, So YouTube has been a very good way for us to learn how to do this and that. And I aspire to be your teacher in YouTube. I have a lot of experience when it comes to doing murals, which is another way you can make money. And I did okay. I had some real good hits, but it was not a consistent one. You can learn how to do murals with me. You can learn how to do some arts and crafts, like I was doing hair clips with a tropical theme. Like I would do mermaids, manatees, paintbrushes with painter's palettes, flamingo hair clips. I mean, I had like a nice whole line. And I just need to see that I have the interest, that people want to learn. And I'll teach you everything I know. I think it's fun. It gives me an opportunity to keep variety in my YouTube channel, because I do like jumping from doing this to doing that. That's why I named it Sandra's Art Studio. So we can do a series of, how to do murals. We can do a series of how to do oil portraits, or how to paint underwater scenes. I mean, there's so much, and it's so much fun. How to do the hair clips. I also know how to use Procreate. And if you guys ever wanted to learn how to tattoo, I could give you tips and tricks on that one, but you have to ask for it, okay? I may not tattoo, but I may verbally let you know some of the tips and tricks that changed a lot of ways that some of my own apprentices were doing their tattoos. And it makes a difference when you know some of the little details that sometimes people keep that as a secret and they don't let you know, because they know that if you learn how to be better than the master teacher, then now they created their own competition, right? So I'm not afraid of that, because here I am, I'm almost 60, and I just have a lot of energy. And you're going to be seeing a lot of fun projects. And like I said, the only thing I need is that you guys are interested enough, and you subscribe, and you like, and you hit the notifications. That's what it takes for YouTube, for us to advance in this YouTube world, all right? So I think it's going to be fun. So help me help you, all right? And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next Sunday, because it's every Sunday that I'm going to be posting videos. Thank you. Bye. Oof. Not too bad. Oops. Okay, today we're going to talk during your art. So keeping the hot air, we're hot enough, the temperature in my basement.